According to our count, approximately 6.8 billion polythene bags are manufactured and used daily, which translates to them being thrown away. This is a disaster in waiting. These bags finally find themselves in water bodies, consumed by animals, or in the soil. Averagely, a polythene bag may take up to 1,000 years to break down depending on the grade of these polythene bags. This translates that more than 10 generations will experience the impact caused by throwing away one polythene bag today. Even after the government of Kenya banned the single-use polythene bags in 2017, it is evident that the ban has a long journey to be implemented. In Kimbo Ruiru, one cannot miss to find the Sukuma wiki vendors, milk sellers, or shopkeepers using these polythene bags to package goods for buyers. One will get some labeled as from Uganda, which one cannot tell the genuineness of the manufacturer, either Kenyan or foreign, but the trade is done openly without fear. The vendors are not fearing to display their packaged goods even in open market, although this has been termed as illegal by the government of Kenya. I took a journey to bring to the reality of what is happening on the ground. Although vendors couldn't admit to an interview, as well as there was need to protect them from being exposed to arrest, the journey had to be pursued. I visited a shop within the region. Sugar, which is one of the commonly used commodity, needs to be packaged so that the buyers can be able to have the amount they can afford bought. Although other vendors have shifted to using the recommended bags, this particular shop still uses the single-use polythene bags. In my quest to find answers, I visited the National Environment Management offices in Thika Town. Mr. Njiro is the NEMA officer in charge of Thika East and West region. I first inquired to know if he is aware if these polythene bags are in use, which he admits to be aware.
My name is Michael Njiri. I'm an environmental inspector working in the National Environment Management Authority in Thika office in charge of Thika sub-county, that is Thika East and West sub-counties. Yes, and together with me, I'm having Mr. Moses and Mr. Peter, who are part of our staff who will assist me in doing this work of environmental conservation and waste management. Yes, what I can say is that the polythene bags are slowly getting back into the market, and at times you may see in some sections of the town, some people are hiding, some other areas people are not just using, they're using the other alternatives. So it is slowly in different areas, not every other place that people are using. There are different times of the day. Some use at night, some use during the day. And there has even some others who have been given the leeway to use by having given what there's something that we call the exemption. Some people have been exempted because of the nature of the kind of products that they are using to wrap those their products.
I also engaged him about the source of these polythene bags, noting from him that possibly some notorious individuals sneak the bags from the neighboring countries, including Uganda.
Exactly where they come from, we cannot be able to identify, but there are rumors that some of them are imported from Uganda. A few have been caught having some labels where the source can be traced back as if it is in Uganda, manufactured in Uganda. don't know it's whether it's a gimmick by the manufacturer. Then the other we suspect that there are some local manufacturers who do it in some hidden dens somewhere. Yes, or even manufacturing at night, I don't know, but there is some source somewhere.
He further notes there are several challenges that face the implementation of the ban, including the number of staff to aid in implementation of the law being in low numbers.
One of the greatest challenges we have, one, is our staffing. Our staffing is very limited compared to the wider society who are using these papers. Because, like, if you compare the home papers of county, there are very few as NEMA inspectors, and maybe having one or two is to say about we say about 10 weather inspectors in one county, and there are so many shopping centers and within the same county. So you see, the ratio of the inspector to the offenders or even the places to be inspected are the ratio is wanting. Yes. Then the other thing is that the sources. You have not been able to identify the sources, and the people who are trading with this holiday, you cannot be able to identify the source. They are not telling you where they get them. They just hide the whole chain of supply such that you cannot be able to get who the person who is producing, because the producers are the worst. But then when it comes now to the the persons who are using them, the marketplace, there are so many. At times they use at night when most of the officers are gone. They are out of office. They cannot go for inspection. At times they also use this. They hide them, so they cannot sell. They cannot wrap to somebody whom they don't know. So these are some of the things. So then the others who are transporting these private bags to those vendors, they sell them in bags. They just move them in hidden containers. So you cannot be able to know who is selling it. That is not a problem. And also now to investigate them becomes very difficult because these people will always conceal the information. They cannot tell you and they suspect. Yes. The ban came with a penalty. The penalty was 2 million to 4 million, or 2 to 4 years. So this penalty is quite high, and so when these people are taken to court, especially the bloggers, the users, because the ban was on use, manufacture, and the importation. So the mamamboas, the users, when they are taken to court, the court does not find it easy to give them a fine of the 2 million or even a million. So you find them that at times the penalty they give is maybe 20,000, 5,000. But in some instances, there are some courts depending on even on the quantities or the way they view the issue. Some people have even been given a board of even 200. Some others have been fined 20,000. So the fines are there. Others 5,000. So it depends. And then even the number of days somebody is jailed. Some people have been jailed even for a month, or even for some days. Even even if it is not up to a month, but at some time when somebody is restricted in a jail, they don't they or in prison, they don't feel good. So those are some of the deterrent measures that have been put, so they can prevent people from using these polyethylene bags.
Mr. Njiro also helps to highlight to me the policies that are in the making to help to implement the ban that the National Environment Management Authority is working on to see them put in place in future.
So policies. One on that ban the rules on waste management, which says that the waste should be disposed of in an appropriate way. And then the government, and this is the government, when you say the government, the issues of waste management are bestowed, the policy bit is bestowed on the Ministry of Environment and also NEMA. You want to put a policy on extended producer responsibility, where we have whoever does the production of any waste, any material that will end up being a waste, a subject as a waste, that the person shall be responsible, shall be responsible to know how that waste shall be disposed of. Yes. So that now, even if it is to put a price tag, or even if it is to look for mechanisms under which this waste shall come back to the person who has generated that waste, so that it can either be recycled or it can be used or it can be done anything, but so that the waste does not end up in the wilderness, it comes back to somebody who is responsible to handle it. Yes. Quick mat, we can be held responsible because they are the ones who are releasing this into the market. That's why I was saying that it would also be good if we put a sharing here, that when you get these people in the environment or anywhere, or if you are the owner of this, you have bought this package of sugar, you just keep it. Once you get about 10 of them, you can take them back to Big Mat. Yes, yes. That at least you can be able to have responsibility as the producers of these materials. That is the extended user responsibility. Yes, yes. So that now when they go back, all of them, they go to Pikimat, Pikimat will have voted a person who is coming for this to be taken for recycling. So they don't end up in the dump site. Yes. So as clean as it is, if it gets back to the supermarket, it's well packaged, then they are sent back to the manufacturer or to the recyclers. Yes. So that is how we would want the circuit. Isiende kwa dump site, ikienda kwa dump site inapotea kwa mtu. Let it just be within our own self. Yes. These are these then taken to some places where they make things like the posts and all that and things like that. The plastic posts and all that.
Actions definitely speaks louder than words. Mr. Njiro goes ahead to show me the bugs he has confiscated in the last few months when doing rounds and implementing the law. Mr. Douglas Murithi is an expert in waste management and helps us to understand the effect of these polythene bags on the environment.
I'm Douglas Murithi, an expert in waste management, and this session will be talking about the disadvantages of polythene bag, the single use, and the effect they have to the environment. Firstly, we need to know that the decomposition of polythene bags, especially the single use, it varies depending on the material used to produce them. And typically the polythene bag, the single use, they usually take between 20 years and 500 years. Again, when the process of decomposition, which is referred to as photodegradation, is taking place, these plastic bags are broken down into particles, and these particles produce toxins, and these toxins are released to the soil. So whenever they are in landfills and we have a downfall, they are released. They are drained to the rivers. Firstly, they affect the soil. The micronutrients. That means the food production will go down. And when they are drained to the rivers, they affect the sea animals. In this case, the fish, and which means the impact on food it's quite great.
He further helps us to know the grading of these polythene bags and the disadvantage that comes with single-use polythene bags. He also notes single-use polythene bags cannot be recycled.
Quite great. And on top of that, the polythene bag, the single use, they are classified into 7 grades. and mostly the first grade, which is polyethylene terephthalate, another pit, is the only one which is recyclable. Yeah, and it entails bottled waters and those food packages. The other one is high density polyethylene. It is rarely recycled, but it's a recyclable. But for the case of low density, which is the most common form of single-use plastic bags, they are not recycled due to the cost, and also the products that may come out of it may not be useful. So the issue of cost on recycling them, it's too high. So there are byproducts for after they are recycled, which is grade one and grade two, which is peat and high density. They can make pages or flower pots. Essentially, the byproducts after doing recycling is not that effective. That's why, although it helps, in minimizing the impact of single-use polythene bags to the environment. Yeah, so we need to take that initiative of conserving the environment. Thank you very much.
Messenjero finalizing by giving the advice to the public concerning the use of these polythene bags.
What I would say is that when these bags are released, they get in the public, they get into the environment, in the wilderness, we all suffer. The environment suffers. And as I've always said, our motto in NEMA is our environment, our life, our responsibility. So if you want to mess up with our life, we become irresponsible to our environment, and the things will never work for us. So you have to be responsible, every person to take responsibility. Even those who are in the market are releasing their goods and products in those materials wrapped with those polyethylene bags. We just have the responsibility just to refuse. We say, no, I'm not going to get it wrapped in this. Let me carry my own container, if it is for milk, if it is for sukuma wiki or donut. Let it be put in my own container. Let me just leave it. So if we do that, we are going to kill the market for those who are manufacturing and importing those papers. And we shall not see those things coming back into the market anymore. Yes.
Mother Nature will one day pay us with the same magnitude of waste we put into her. Let's take care of her and she will take care of us.